Hello, and thank you very much for joining us for the ICC Networking webinar, Deploying Intelligent Wireless Network Environments, focused on software-driven wireless technology. What we're going to review today are going to be several areas from a wireless technology, but also predominantly from a feature set technology and how those features can be deployed over time using the ICC networking solutions. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So for those of you that are new to the ICC networking on this webinar, as you may or may not know, ICC networking, we design, manufacture, and distribute a variety of software-driven unified IP data networking solutions. We try to focus on being simple, smart, performance-centric, and then also content-focused, which the content-focused side is what we're going to focus on today with regards to enabling you and your partners to be able to deliver solutions over a longer period of time. So let's go ahead and get started. So when we talk about intelligent edge and intelligent capabilities and deploying intelligence over a longer period of time, we look at three basic elements of a network and the physical setup, the actual platform, right? So the right platform from a wireless ecosystem is one that is managed. So as opposed to having basically, for lack of a better word, glorified antennas deployed, you actually have a device that actually understands, can see, and define what is going on within that network environment. Also, from a process perspective, you also want to make sure that you have an IP data networking process of how information flows back into the core of your network and what that information is. So as a result, the edge of your network needs to be as intelligent as possible to calculate, understand, determine, and also have the heuristics to be able to then adjust based on the actual demand of content and bandwidth. And then finally, the ability to set policies. And those policies can be set on a variety of ranges to be able to then decide what information is important, what information is not, what the priorities should be according to the information, and therefore allows you to then set those priorities based on the customer needs and requirements as well. So when we talk about a more intelligent edge to be able to better control and deploy a more intelligent wireless environment, this isn't something that is specific simply to an ICC standpoint. We actually look at it from the industry perspective, and according to IDC, they're predicting that over 40% of IoT traffic will be stored, processed, analyzed, and acted upon closer to the edge of the network. So deploying unmanaged wireless environments, even if they say that that environment is managed back in the cloud and cloud centers, really isn't helping yourself or the actual customer, because at the end of the day, the expectation is that the devices on the edge are able to better understand, calculate, and define what that information is, and then act on those definitions that you set. And then the system becomes a whole system of basically an intelligent, flexible cloud environment. So no longer are we looking at basically dumb devices at the edge in a cloud environment, or vice versa, all of the intelligence at the edge. It actually has to be a series of information and intelligence from the edge all the way back into the core data center environment as well to make it successful. So what's the result, right? And what's the actual objective of all of this intelligence? Well, the central objective is really how do we move from the current IP data networking model today to a next generation IP data networking model. The current model really focuses, again, on connecting point A to point B, right? Focused heavily on connectivity with maybe some overlay of service capabilities. However, what we are talking about moving to this next generation environments is where really the visibility, the content control, monetization, mobility, the services side of it becomes the bulk of the interest and use of that network environment and the focus of that network environment. Therefore, it allows not only the overlay of advanced features, but also the underpinning of that unified wired and wireless connectivity capability. So ICC is focused on driving that LAN, the longevity of use of that local area network, all right, to reduce your long-term total cost of ownership by overlaying the ability to have unified IP control. Pricing is always a factor, the additional features, and then obviously having the management to enable better services as well. So how do we drive this, right? What does that mean going beyond the enterprise from an intelligence perspective? Well, we take it from two different angles. One, enabling the SMB to be able to have enhanced features, to be able to then match up and compete at the enterprise level, because they have a lot of the same issues that many in the enterprise do, just at a different level. And then obviously from a remote capabilities perspective, obviously going outside the enterprise, having an enterprise environment that then you can extend that enterprise into multiple environments. And really we focus on two different product lines in our product line when we look at these specific types of environments. And these specific types of environments now then drive the ability to enable smarter deployments over a longer period of time with the customer. So you want to be able to deliver and meet those clients' needs as they shift over time, but also be able to then deploy layers of security, layers of policy, and layers of routing over on top of the network on an ongoing basis as well. And that's how you end up offering hosted services such as wireless as a service. You increase loyalty and also profitability while at the same time driving down your operational expense to manage those ecosystems as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this divides out within the ICC Networking product line. So ICC Networking product line really focuses on a variety of market segments, obviously small, medium business, and enterprise, as well as verticals such as MDU, which can include things such as hospitality, right, hotels, retail environments, multi-location kinds of setups, apartment buildings, condos, etc. And then community environments, which can include campus, higher education kinds of environments, local, state, municipalities as well, and even in some areas, countrywide or island-wide deployments. And the product lines that then fold down into these, and when we start talking about enterprise-level features and remote capability, is what's called the unified access devices. Of those, we have one side of it that is standalone, and then the other side that is cloud managed. And then we have our access control system, which is the controller-based, premise-based system, which can also be, as you'll see a little bit later on, managed and controlled both on site as well as from a remote perspective. Then we have what we call our Active Arc and our Raptor X series. Those are for much higher end service provider environments using white space technology to bridge non-line of sight kinds of issues over longer distances. And then complementing these, we then have our cloud-based solutions with the data analytics as well as the ICX Manager. So let's go ahead and jump right into the one of the product lines. So the unified access devices, right? How we deliver solutions over an all wireless ecosystem. These are both indoor and outdoor units that are 11 AC, 2.4, 5 gigahertz kinds of products, and they come in a variety of different flavors. At the end of the day, there are some with the outdoor version that have all internal antennas, partial external, and then obviously all external antennas as well. However, from an intelligence and enterprise deployment perspective, when we look at how then do we enable those services, not only do you have a single software platform, you also have a platform that is intelligent and also aware of every Mac in its surroundings, whether or not those smart devices are authorized or not authorized, focused on cost effectiveness to drive the total cost of ownership over a longer period of time, has a customizable base on content on the request by the user as well, and that becomes very important because as we all know that every customer environment not only is different and special to that customer but also evolves over time. And so having an intelligent system that then is able to, from the client, from the edge of that network, evolve with that client's changing need, then naturally creates a more loyal customer base as well. Then on the feature set side of things, then this is where you start seeing the tools that enable you to then have that more intelligent network to deploy over a period of time. Whether or not there's built-in encryption, not only the VLAN capability, which it supports obviously up to 4,000 VLANs, which is unusual in that class of product as well. You also have no-cost security features that come along with the solution without the licensing. You also have no licensing for the ability to have routing built into the solution, firewall capability, captive portal capability, bandwidth control, and also patent pending content control. So all of these enable evolutionary changes in how a solution is deployed, if it is an outdoor solution, indoor solution, whether or not it's a solution that needs to be deployed in a retail environment or in a traditional enterprise environment. All of those feature sets allow for more intelligent deployment as well. And then the user can also leverage our cloud platform in a way in which benefits the user and also the eventual customer. So then how do we then on demand be able to control as well as deploy these different services? So there are a couple of different methods, whether or not based on the physical user, how they actually want to deploy a lot of these. So within the unified access device environment, as I mentioned before, multiple types of feature sets. So types of authentication, whether or not you also have different kinds of security levels, DHCP capabilities as well, up to 32 SSID usage. And those can either be controlled as standalone devices, so can be configured in a small environment, let's just say a small hotspot type environment or a small office environment, where they can either use in enterprise level web encryption, or they decide that they also want a cloud environment where, because they have multiple locations to manage on a lot of physical devices, it obviously makes it much more simple with that single dashboard. So again, a lot of clients start off using sort of part of their network or with a smaller physical deployment, and then over time as they grow, they can add and layer on the additional management capabilities, as well as the ICX analytics, which then also gives them the capabilities for big data control and analytics and location-based services and a whole host of other features that on an as-needed basis can also be used over a period of time. So when we look at it from a physical network setup, how do we then take a look at and sort of see this kind of deployment? How do we deal with this kind of deployment as well? So what it actually helps you to actually do as a service provider or as a reseller with your customer, you're able to, based on the device and the requirement of the customer, put these devices into different states or different modes, whether or not you're a standalone, using it as a standalone device. So in this instance, you could see the ICX wireless devices internal to this entity. It could be a company, it could be a retailer, it could be a small business, as just simply a standalone device where they can actually set advanced features for security and firewall, etc. But then later on, maybe they want to then evolve that capability to then have outdoor devices doing point-to-point, point-to-multi-point connectivity, bridging multiple physical buildings, or as in a school case, to carry the PA system from one building to another without actually trenching. You're able to then simply have that and encrypt that information so that it is secure between the multiple locations as well. So again, demonstrating that not only can you deploy very easily, whether it's a small location, but then also graduate that up into larger environments where you're using also outdoor cameras, communicating those video feeds back to a central location as well, and being able to then save costs from a trenching perspective, while at the same time keeping the content wholly secured based on the environment. As you see here, this is more of a more retail, maybe a mall kind of ecosystem, something that's a little bit more transient, where people come and go, and there may be the need for such things as a captive portal, and then allowing people to log in that hospitality environment, and then obviously using the data analytics gleaned by the units that are fed into the units, to then better manage that environment, monetize that environment as well. So once again, here we see the use of the system from an intelligence standpoint being able to be deployed, as you saw on the previous slide, in a very simple manner within a physical network, maybe a small business, maybe it could be an insurance office type of environment, but then having the ability then over time, or based on the client, change what that one physical device is able to do because of the software capabilities within the device and the patent capabilities provided as well. So let's just sort of dig a little bit deeper before we end this section on with the all wireless kinds of networks. One of the important aspects of intelligence being closer to the edge is then not only being able to see that information, but also being able to then control that content as it comes in. One of the things that we are adept at being able to do is to then be able to then understand the data as it physically comes in, control that data, whether or not that data goes through a guest captive portal, through an encrypted environment for the managed POS system, or simply an encrypted data path back to into the service provider or into the servers that could very well physically be on-site or off-site. So again, no longer are we talking about having unmanaged sort of glorified antennas. We are able to better control that information from the very wireless edge of that network environment, and then help decide where that information is forwarded off to, and even in some cases whether it's forwarded out of the broadband or back to a corporate center as well. So where we continue to see these different kinds of setups and different kinds of environments driven by those advanced features to be able to have wireless as a service, to remotely control and deploy security features for such things as CCTVs and PCI compliance and POS, as well as dedicated bandwidth for special clients, all part of that intelligent wireless edge devices deployed by ICC partners as well. So as you see in this particular diagram, as we dig a little bit deeper into the feature sets to be able to then control video, voice, data, special user, special devices as well, and understand what that content is to have a more intelligent network deployment as well as more flexible network over the longer period of time. Now, obviously, once you start gathering all of this information, the question then becomes, well, what do I do with it, and how do I manage it? How do I control it? Well, there are two tools that exist today within the ICC networking world. One is called the ICX Manager, that allows the unified access devices to be fully managed in from a global perspective through a single dashboard. It allows not only from a trackability perspective, understanding clients and users and usages as well, but it also from an auto provisioning standpoint is very easy to install. It also allows you to then control and be proactive from a monitoring perspective, and with multiple levels of service capabilities that can be shared amongst users or multiple levels from a tenant-based perspective. The ICX Analytics also allows you to understand the user patterns themselves, right? Track the the MAC addresses that are associated or unassociated. Understand the opt-in of customers that may be using the captive portal environments. Have set up push kinds of ads and videos, etc. that are accessible by the user. So these come in more handy, more in the retail and hospitality kind of environments, mall environments, but also we've found these very helpful in your traditional environments where you want to know and understand who's coming in. So things such as churches, event arenas, and the like, that need to understand and have a greater depth of knowledge of what their customer base actually physically is. Now, as a result of driving the intelligence of the technology, but you also have the patented intelligence that's also built into the unified access devices, whether or not you're using the standalone devices or you're using the cloud managed devices. This is an embedded intelligence engine, for lack of a better word. We call it an intelligent traffic cop that understands the data, understands the bandwidth needs and capabilities, and understands how to then not drop a packet. And so what you see here is that over a period of time, with the ICX engine on, over a period of time, you tend to have more bandwidth shared amongst greater environments. Typical quality of service, as you see with the blue line, traditional quality of service is really a best effort. And so as a result, there is no necessary guarantee on the performance of each individual streams or each individual set of information. However, with the ICX bandwidth management system, the ICX engine bandwidth management system, it actually is able to then take all of that bandwidth and streamline them across multiple customers to get an average of similar bandwidth performance among those customers as well. So that simply means you get better performance across more customers. You also get better SLA delivery, and then obviously more loyalty from a client perspective as well. So in summary, from a unified access device standpoint, intelligence, right? Being able to then ensure content delivery, security, deploy policy over a longer period of time. Obviously, the initial lower cost of the solution is very important, and then obviously from an encryption and security perspective. So you end up having these unified access devices that over a longer period of time, you're able to have a more intelligent network environment that can evolve with that particular customer. So now we'll jump over to the premise-based solution, the active control systems. And so these are enterprise. Typically, they look like more traditional premise-based systems. At the end of the day, enterprise management and advanced features. Obviously, they come with our industry-leading white glove service support. It is still software-driven with packet control and policy capabilities. Now, what this allows us to do, very similar to the unified access devices, is also to have that intelligent edge, except that intelligent edge is aggregated into the control system. So you have the ability to remotely manage and control and service all of those networks. You may have customers that require that system behind their own firewall to be controlled within their own physical environment, or from a performance standpoint, they want to have all of these different features centrally located as well. So as a result, the products with the advanced features have been created to be a lot more flexible to allow that customer to move that premise-based solution on-site or off-site, but yet still within their own physical control as well. And then this eventually simply drives profitability for the client as well as the provider. As you can see in this particular network setup, where we have the premise system not only on site, but also the service provider or the institution themselves can have multiple units of these as redundant systems as well. So they can maintain connectivity throughout their whole network. They can deploy individual access points on site or off site to remote locations. And for multiple redundancies, the access point can actually try to tie to up to 4 different control systems for multiple avenues of access as well. Now, what that allows us to also do from an intelligence perspective is also have more flexibility. How we handle content, whether it is on-site, whether it is at location 1 or location 200, it doesn't matter where those physical locations, we're still able to do a lot of the things that we talked about under the unified access device systems, right, with the all wireless, with the premise equipment as well. Premise equipment simply gives your customer more control from a central standpoint behind their own physical firewalls, but it still supports all of the same features such as captive portal and splash page, PCI compliance, remote AP service management that can be charged for different levels of security, and voice and video capabilities as well. So as a result, as in the case of PCI compliance, they're able to deploy multiple locations securely and yet still protect the actual physical user. So now we take this to an extreme with a much larger network ecosystem where you've got multiple you've got a centralized headquarters, you've got multiple physical sites out, as well as multiple physical individual standalone access points that are deployed, controlled over a tunneling and secure CAP-WAP capabilities, or GRE, to be able to then connect into multiple kinds of boxes. This now allows our service providers to then build out these networks into much larger kinds of environments for bigger enterprise kinds of customers, still wanting to keep all of the physical units behind their own infrastructure, but yet still getting the flexibility of deployment as well. So as we come to a close, we want to be able to drive that loyalty, the communication, the service revenue and scalability and security with very, very few licenses at the end of the day. We want to be able to enable our partners to be able to deliver an intelligent, deployable solution that is enterprise grade and can be demonstrated as such over a longer period of the lifetime of the actual solution as well. As a result, they're basically these 4 steps, aside from having the right product and price, the right tools, and the right features. We want to make sure that our partners understand that this is advanced hardware, that there are patents located within the actual physical solutions as well, that the devices are able to be not only monitored, but also alert in multiple directions to enable proper support and capabilities, as well as the overlaying of data analytics and monetization so then it's better understood what this content is all about. So no longer are we in the business of simply connecting point A to point B, but understanding what that content is, keeping that content secure, ensuring where that content is going, and then obviously monetizing that content, and enabling our partners to then monetize that content over a longer period of time. The net result is customer loyalty, greater profitability, the ability to then win and close a greater ratio from a sales perspective as well, because you have an environment that is simplified and be able to then morph into whatever it is the customer physically needs as well. So in summary, what we're looking at are our solutions are built for growth, right, over the longer time with the client, with greater profitability and return on investment. The fact that from a customer expansion standpoint, they can start off as a standalone physical product, expand into being cloud and a hybrid environment as well. So there's a high degree of flexibility with the solution. The fact that also ideas matter. So our customers expect service, a certain level of service capabilities, and us listening to them at minimal expense. And so we are able to physically deliver that through our white glove service. And then obviously having balanced growth, right? Profitable growth through solution delivery, support, and loyalty, keeping costs down while at the same time driving service capabilities and flexibility with a high performance network and ecosystem. Okay. So we thank you very much for your time today. We definitely appreciate everyone showing up on the call today. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, or simply put the questions into the chat window, and I'll go ahead and get those answered for you. You can contact us at sales@iccnetworking.com, and one of our white glove service account managers will respond within a matter of minutes. Again, thank you very much, and have a great day.